Can we talk about the Lungu case? Now, keep in mind, there has been an official communique that's been sent out, and that is social media houses have been advised to stick with the facts, don't embellish. In my view, Emmanuel Mwamba and Mwewa Zulu, those two are up to no good. Those two are trying to spin a narrative that doesn't exist. What's the narrative? The narrative is this, from their point of view. Mwewa Zulu recently said, ECL's body has vanished. What he meant to say, and what the truth is that the High Court had given ECL's body to the government. The government now is in custody of ECL's remains by virtue of the fact that he is a former serving head of state. You know, earlier a young girl wrote a message on my Facebook and she oversimplified it, which is what many of you are doing. Well, not many, some of you, because most of you are clued in. Most of you, you've got it. But this young lady, she oversimplified it by saying, Mr. Mwewa, what if it was you? What if you have a funeral and then someone from Chipata just comes and commandeers your loved one's body and then they say, we've taken over the body? I said, honey, you are clueless. Your relative is not a former head of state. Your relative is a non-entity. Your relative did not serve as president. Your relative was not a former commander and chief of the armed forces. Your relative came from Kuchipato oko kuinyoko oko bareli ma barenda okamwibala. That's your relative. We are not talking about your relative. We are discussing the former and sixth president of the Republic of Zambia, whose funeral must be befitting a former head of state. That is the issue. If you lose sight of that, then you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Don't oversimplify it. Don't. See it for what. This is the reason when PF, when they were in power and the Kenneth Kaunda died, PF insisted on a state funeral because they recognized that not only is Dr. Kenneth Kaunda a former head of state, he's the father of this nation. Therefore, his funeral must be a state funeral. All former presidents, late presidents, must be accorded a state funeral. That's just the way that it is. You cannot work around that. Now, the thing with Emmanuel Propaganda Mwamba and the Mwewa Mukula Zulu, whatever the hell his name is that these chaps are trying to spin the narrative that the state wants to grab a hold of ECL's body by any means necessary. It's got nothing to do with that. It has everything to do, in one sentence, to accord the former head of state a funeral befitting of a former head of state. Full stop. One of the reasons they don't want an autopsy, okay, because you know the moment the word autopsy just came out, Mwewa Zulu and Emmanuel Propaganda Mwamba autopsy. Oh, we don't want that. What is an autopsy? An autopsy is an examination that determines the cause of death. The reason Mwewa Zulu and Emmanuel Propaganda Mwamba, the reason they don't want an autopsy is because they know that when the truth comes out, and the truth is there for everyone to see, the truth is our former head of state was not well. He was ailing. He died, he succumbed because of an ailment. Not according to Emmanuel Mwamba, not according to Mwewa Zulu, not according to Raphael Hajaka Nakachinda, who was on record. He went on South African television and said, no, ECO is poisoned. They poisoned him. The family believe he was poisoned. So because he believes, because the family believes he was poisoned, we as the PF, we take the side of the family. The reason the PF, the reason Makebi Zulu, the reason Emmanuel Propaganda Mwamba and those chaps, the reason they don't want an autopsy is because they know an autopsy will reveal the truth. What is the truth? Our former head of state was sick, he succumbed, he passed away, he died. Full stop. The same way that you and I one day will succumb to something. One day you and I will succumb. One day mukaberenga pa Facebook wapati chitambala Mwewa dies. You're going to hear that. One day, na iwa win, one day. Ulefwaya nanguta ulefwaya o ichebo kufwa. You know, when I used to hear that song on the radio when I was a kid, that song used to put the fear of God in me. That song used to keep me up at night. But boy, I tell you, when the moment I gave my life to Christ, that changed. It changed. I was no longer, I would always look in the mirror and say, death, where is your sting? I know in whom I have believed, and I'm persuaded that he's able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. That's just the way that it is. So my point in saying that is that, you see, the story of ECL dying under unclear circumstances is a story that Emmanuel Mwamba would prefer persists. Emmanuel Mwamba would like to see people think that they did something to ECL. When Emmanuel Mwamba spins this idea, when Makebi Zulu spin this idea that no, they did something to ECL, it empowers them. It appeals to a small group of people who believe that ECL was poisoned when ECL was not poisoned. Nothing of the sort happened. Nothing of the kind happened. Move from that, go to the state obtaining the body for the purpose and the sole purpose of conducting a state funeral by virtue of the fact that ECL is a former head of state, served as 6th president of this republic. Therefore, he deserves a funeral befitting of a former head of state. The extent of Hakainde Hichilema's involvement is to facilitate a state funeral. Not this thing that these chaps have spun. No, HH wants to see the body. HH wants to stand in front of the body. He wants to touch it. He wants to do something to it. He wants to reach in. Only simpletons think like that. The extent of HH's involvement is to simply facilitate a state funeral. That's all. No, but why must he be there? Because he's the president of this country. Hello? No, we don't want him there. Well, you know what? You can jump through this. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you want. What needs to happen, protocol, procedure, tradition. What is right? That's what needs to happen. The right thing needs to happen, not what you want. ECL is not just a normal, regular citizen like you or like me. He's a former head of state, and he deserves a befitting funeral. Now, the other argument is that no, but HH didn't care about ECL when he was alive. What, did you want HH to be holding ECL's hand every day? ECL, I'm going down to the garden. Do you want to come along with me? Let's hold hands. For what? ECL had his own life. HH has his own life. But in the event of a death, of a former head of state, now it's time to engage. Or as we say in Zambia, engage. it's time now to engage. You see how it's easy, it's very easy to mislead Zambians. Zambians, that's the reason Jesus called us sheep. You know, because sheep are easily manipulated. All you got to do is just do this to a sheep and it'll go in that direction. Okay. But thank God there are voices in this nation, and I'd like to consider myself one of them. Of course, I'm not the voice. I'm not. I'm just a member of the social media fraternity. I'm a member of the social media community. But there needs to be more people who need to voice out and say that let's not allow these guys, Emmanuel propaganda mwamba, to spin a narrative that is not accurate. The only thing here is to bring back the body of ECL, lay him to rest at Embassy Park there, where all the other presidents are going to be laid and have been laid. Why should it be different for ECL? It should not be different. It should be the same. And it will be the same. And brothers and sisters, boys and girls, I've said it once, I've said it a multiplicity of multitudinous tens of times. When the dust settles and when the dew dries, it doesn't matter how long it will take. Ultimately, ECL will be buried here in the heartland. The soil of Mzanzi there in South Africa is not going to swallow our former president. It won't happen. That one you can forget. All right. Thought I'd share that with you. What's the other thing? I wanted to talk to you about these UPND cadres. There's a UPND cadre in Ilinda that was recently arrested for assaulting a Power FM journalist. Let me tell you the story. Do you guys remember? Tell me, do you remember when HH went to file his nomination papers at the Secretariat, the UPND Secretariat a few days ago? Do you remember that? Tell me in the comments if you remember that. And I must tell you that over the years, me in particular, I have brushed shoulders with many different cadres from many different political persuasions. Cadres, I know the sound of a cadre when I hear it. I know the smell of a political cadre because I've been around them for so long. Just a whiff, I know they're there. The sound, there's a particular sound, and you'll only know it if you are around cadres. It's the sound of chaos, the sound of bedlam. It is the sound of anarchy, the sound of inevitability in terms of chaos and confusion. Those chaps. So I know that sound. So I know that when the Power FM journalist there in Linda, while recording and performing his duties, this cadre decided to assault a journalist for nothing. Now, this is the reason I made reference to HH filing his papers at the Secretariat. You know what I do when I'm in any place. I love to vlog. And for all intent and purposes, from the moment I first arrived at the Secretariat to about the time, a little after HH arrived, in between that time frame, everything was fine. You know, I was interacting with the people there. Many cadres are my friends. Some are not my friends. You know, many cadres like me. Some don't like me. Okay, but that's just life. Okay, and so at one point, HH was inside the Secretariat. He was filing. I decided to hire 10 women to collect and to clean that street, because you know that street where the Secretariat, where the UPND Secretariat is located, It's a residential area. It's a street that has many beautiful houses there. They're very nice houses there. So I felt, you know what, let's be good neighbors and let's clean this spot so that by the time the president leaves and everybody else goes, the residents in that community can say, oh, the UPND were here. There were a lot of them. Bapusha, they finished, they've gone, but they left the place clean. So I got bin bags. I went to ShopRite. I bought these big, gigantic bin liners, refuse bags, you know, and then I galvanized 10 women to help me. I said, you know, I'll pay you something, but let's pick up all the debris, because, you know, the problem in my country, the problem in Zambia is that Zambians think that wherever we are as a group, we can just throw things. Nobody cares. Nobody talks about it. And it drives me nuts. So I mobilized 10 women. And for those of you that watch that on TikTok, tell me, did you see that? Did any of you watch that on TikTok? Tell me in the comments, because I was live when I was doing that. Tell me in the comments if you remember that, because I was live when I was doing that. And you know, the whole thing was documented. I was live even as I was driving. While I was with my driver, Paul. We drove to Manda Hill. I gave Paul the money. Paul is the name of my driver. I gave him the money. He went into ShopRite. He bought the bin liners. We drove all the way back to the Secretariat. I came out of the car. I mobilized 10 women. I handed them the refuse bags. I gave them the conditions. I said, look, I'll pay you something, but let's clean this place. I paid them 1,000 kwacha. I think it was 1,200 kwacha for 10 women. I said, all you have to do is just clean, pick up everything. Pick up any small piece of paper, any small piece of plastic, any groundnut, peanut shell, pick it all up. And they were doing it. Now, as we were walking through, I encountered 2 kadas. These were big guys. So I'm recording the women picking up. And then one of those kadas looked at me and said, and he was very serious, I can tell when someone is joking, someone is friendly towards you, and I can also tell, I can feel hostility. I can feel rancor. I can feel malice. So this guy just looked at me and said, and I looked at him, I said, and then his friend realized what this could potentially mean. His friend was clued in. His friend knew, says, wait a minute, Mwewa is just simply cleaning here. There's no problem here. There's no reason Mwewa should be harassed here. So his friend very quickly tried to calm oh no, it's okay, Mwewa, just go ahead, Mwewa, but this other guy, dull as hell, still had this face, and yet I didn't do anything to that guy. All I was doing was cleaning. But President afulwa yo chimwe yo chitambala yo sani kopa yo chimwe anvera yo udachiona for no reason. So I understand. The reason I told that story is because this Power FM journalist that was assaulted by this UPND cadre there in Linda while on duty, while he was just recording. I understand that, and I'm very alive to the fact that sometimes cadres, they just do what they do because it is in their nature to be violent. They have a natural proclivity for violence. In their minds, violence is the answer, the solution to every challenge. This is the reason I am so thankful. Honestly, I am. I am so thankful we have a president that constantly talks against the violence of cadres, talks against this idea that cadres can do what they want just because they're cadres and just because they call themselves party loyalists. This is the reason, if the people of Lusaka give me an opportunity to serve as mayor of this city, one of the things, amongst many things, one of the things we're going to tackle is this idea that bus drivers and bus conductors should not be visibly politically aligned. I mean, what's the purpose of a bus driver wearing a party hat? For what? What is the purpose of a conductor wearing a party hat? No, you are there to serve the public. You are not there to remind your passengers that you, as a bus conductor, are politically aligned. That's nonsense. That is ridiculous. And in any case, all these cadres who wear colors now, if and when regime changes, they always change. So they are never loyal to any political party. Never. They're not loyal. In their minds, they want to ride on the current administration and use the colors of the current administration as a shield against their wrongdoing. In their minds, they think, as long as I wear this regalia, I can break the law, I'll be excused because I'm wearing this regalia. That, my brothers and sisters, is nonsense. Ridiculous. Has no place in real politics. None whatsoever. We're going to do away with that. If you are a bus conductor, do your damn job. Do your damn job. Don't get on that bus wearing colors. Colors for what? Do your damn job. That's all we want you to do. We don't care about your political affiliation. We don't care about it, not one bit, not one iota. All we want you to do is do your damn job. Full stop. Capiche? I think you got that. All right. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. All right, that's the last bit. Was there anything else I was talking about? You want to tell me, was there anything I was talking about? I'll check it out here in a moment. I'm telling you right now. I can't stand cadres. All right. Okay, this one's not on. All right. Well, hey, that's what I want to share with you. Thanks for watching. God bless. I got to go. Oh, it's lunchtime. I got a meeting in 10 minutes. Can you believe it?